My fiancée accused me of cheating because I started getting healthier. She even sent her friend to test me at the gym. When I showed her the real reason behind my transformation, her whole story collapsed that I never thought getting healthy would nearly destroy my relationship. I'm 33, work as a systems analyst, and had been dating my fiancée, Marissa, for about 4 years. We lived together for 2, and for most of that time, things were stable, maybe too stable. I'd put on some weight from long hours and takeout dinners, and she'd tease me about my dad bod, but in a playful way. Then last spring, I had what my doctor called a wake-up call. Routine checkup, high blood pressure, borderline cholesterol, and early warning signs that could lead to worse if I didn't change my lifestyle. He didn't sugarcoat it. You're 33 going on 50 if you keep this up. That hit me hard. So I started small, meal prepping, running in the mornings, cutting out soda. Then I joined a gym near my office. At first, I didn't tell Marissa much about it. She'd always been a little self-conscious about her own fitness, and I didn't want to make her feel like I was trying to upgrade. But within 2 months, she noticed the changes. I dropped 10 pounds, started dressing better, and was sleeping better. My mood improved. That's when the tone shifted. At first, she'd say things like, "Wow, you're really putting effort in lately." For who? Half joking, half not. Then came the passive-aggressive comments. "You never cared this much about your appearance before. You must have some new gym buddies motivating you." I tried reassuring her, showed her my health report, even joked, "The only person I'm trying to impress is my cardiologist." But it didn't help. One night, I noticed her best friend, Tessa, had suddenly started going to my gym. Odd coincidence, since she lived across town. I said hi to her once at the water fountain. She seemed surprised to see me, stammered something about checking out new places. Didn't think much of it at the time. But a week later, I noticed her again. And again. Same treadmill row. Same schedule. Then, one evening, she accidentally brushed against me in the locker hallway, laughed, and said, "Wow, you've really been working out. Bet Marissa's happy." Something about the tone made me uncomfortable. I kept it short, polite, and left. That night, Marissa seemed weirdly smug during dinner, like she was waiting for me to say something. When I didn't, she blurted out, "So, how was the gym today? Anyone interesting there?" That's when it clicked. 2 days later, I caught Tessa at the gym again, but this time, she wasn't subtle. She tried to flirt. I told her, calmly but firmly, "Tessa, stop. I know what's going on. Tell Marissa this little test is over." She froze, eyes wide, then muttered something about just looking out for her friend and left. By the time I got home, Marissa was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, eyes red. "You yelled at Tessa?" she snapped. "Because she's been following me around for weeks," I said. "Because you told her to." Her face went pale. She didn't deny it. Instead, she said quietly, I knew something was off. You've been different. Secretive. You don't even look at me the same anymore." I sat down, still sweaty from the gym, and just stared at her. "So your solution was to stalk me? To have your friend hit on me like some loyalty test?" She didn't answer, just started crying, saying she had to know. That night, I didn't sleep much. The next morning, before she woke up, I gathered every paper from my doctor's visit, the blood test, the ECG report, the recommended lifestyle changes sheet, and laid them on the kitchen table. When she came downstairs, eyes swollen, I pointed to them and said, "This is why I've been working out. I wasn't cheating. I was trying not to die before I turned 40. She just stared at the papers, silent. I left for work early that day. By the time I got home, the papers were gone from the table, and Marissa was curled up on the couch, still crying. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I just thought you didn't want me anymore." For a second, I almost believed her. Almost. But the image of her best friend accidentally touching my arm at the gym, the paranoia, the invasion, it all left a crack I couldn't ignore. Because it wasn't about jealousy anymore. It was about control. And once you see that, it's hard to unsee. After that morning, the one with the medical papers on the kitchen table, something between us just broke. Marissa stopped talking much. I stopped explaining. We coexisted in the same apartment like two strangers politely avoiding eye contact on a bus. But silence doesn't stay neutral forever. It curdles. A few weeks later, I noticed subtle things. My phone wasn't where I left it, my gym bag zipper half open, my email logged out when I knew I hadn't touched it. Little disturbances that could have been coincidence. but my gut knew better. So I did what I always do when something feels wrong. I started keeping records. I changed my passwords, set up two-factor authentication, installed a security cam by the apartment entrance under the guise of porch package theft prevention. And for good measure, I backed up my phone, every text, every call log, every email. It wasn't paranoia. It was preparation. A few days later, Marissa came home late. She'd texted that she was with Tessa, which I'd stopped asking about long ago. When she walked in, she was oddly calm, too calm. The kind of calm people use when they've rehearsed something. She sat down across from me and said, "I need to talk to you. I know you've been lying to me." I didn't react. "Okay. About what?" She reached for her phone, scrolled for a few seconds, then turned the screen toward me. It was a blurry photo, me talking to a woman in gym clothes near the parking lot. The woman was my physical therapist. "Who's she?" Marissa asked coldly. "The licensed specialist who helped me after I pulled my shoulder," I said. "You'd know that if you'd asked." Her lips twitched. She wasn't expecting calm logic. "So you didn't touch her?" "You didn't." "No, Marissa. I didn't. And I can prove it." I pulled out my own phone and opened my medical portal, showing the session details and referral note from my doctor. Date, time signed. She went silent, but her face turned defensive instead of guilty. "Well, I wouldn't have needed to do this if you'd been honest from the start." That sentence stuck with me. If you'd been honest. I'd told her everything about my health, my workouts, even my diet. But she didn't want honesty. She wanted control disguised as proof. 2 nights later, the situation reached its breaking point. I came home to find her laptop open on the dining table, half covered by papers. It wasn't snooping, it was right there. And on the screen was a message thread between her and Tessa. "Marissa, if we can get him reacting, maybe the trainer will confirm it. Tessa, he's not taking the bait." I even tried touching his arm again. He just walked away. "Marissa, ugh. He's hiding something. I know it." "Tessa, want me to DM you the pic?" "It looks flirty." My stomach turned cold. She wasn't just following me. She was trying to manufacture a reason to be angry. I took photos of everything. The screen, the timestamps, the messages. Then quietly closed the laptop and went for a walk. When I came back, she was already home from work, cheerful, humming to herself, pretending nothing had happened. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I just told her, "I think we need to take a few days apart." She blinked. "What? What?" "Because I can't tell if I'm living with a partner or a detective." That night, I booked a hotel for a week, packed a small bag, my laptop, and my external drive with all the evidence. Before I left, I said, "Don't contact me unless it's about moving arrangements." Her reaction was pure panic. Crying, shaking, begging, the whole emotional storm that would have worked on me months ago. But I wasn't angry. I was done. As I walked out, she shouted, "You're running away because you know you're guilty." I stopped at the door, looked back, and said, "No, Marissa. I'm leaving because I finally know I'm not." The next morning, I got a long message from Tessa. "Please don't get Marissa in trouble. She just really thought something was wrong. She's not a bad person. She's just scared of losing you." I replied, "If she was scared of losing me, she should have tried trusting me instead of surveilling me." Then I blocked her. A week later, Marissa tried to apologize again. She said she just needed reassurance, that she didn't mean for it to go this far. But trust isn't a light switch. Once it's off, no amount of begging flips it back. So I ended it. Cleanly, calmly, legally. I moved out, separated accounts, retrieved my belongings. She cried, accused, pleaded, cycled through every phase of emotional manipulation. But I didn't break. Not because I hated her, but because the moment she chose suspicion over communication, she'd already left the relationship. Update. The first week after the breakup felt like stepping out of a fog and realizing you've been breathing secondhand air for years. I wasn't heartbroken, not exactly. Just exhausted. It's strange. When you've spent months defending your own reality to someone who keeps twisting it, the absence of conflict feels unreal. Like silence after static. But peace never lasts long when someone refuses to let go. It started small, texts at first. "Marissa, I miss you." "Marissa, can we please talk?" "Marissa, you can't just walk away like I'm nothing." I ignored them. I'd made my position clear. Then came the calls from unknown numbers. Then mutual friends asking, "Hey, what happened?" "Marissa's been saying some things." That's when I realized the game had changed. A coworker, one of the few who'd met her, pulled me aside one morning. "Hey, man, is everything okay with you and Marissa? She posted something kinda weird." I didn't even have to ask what. I knew. When I checked, my stomach dropped. She'd posted a long, emotional paragraph on Instagram, a vague but loaded piece about betrayal, being lied to, and finding out your fiancé was seeing someone at the gym. No names, but enough breadcrumbs for anyone who followed both of us to connect the dots. It had over 100 comments in a few hours. Her friends flooding the replies with "You deserve better, broken heart," and "Men are trash." Classic sympathy farming. I wanted to explode, to defend myself, to post screenshots, the truth, the messages, everything. But instead, I took a breath, sat down, and called my friend, Derek, a lawyer who handled small claims and digital disputes. "Keep everything," he said immediately. "Don't engage. Just archive. We'll build a file." So I did. Every post, every story, every comment where someone accused me of cheating, all saved. Then, a few days later, she crossed the line. She posted a blurry photo of me at the gym, same one she'd used before, and wrote, "This is what betrayal looks like. Some people think they can lie their way out of everything." That was defamation. Derek drafted a cease and desist letter that night. Sent it through both email and certified mail. It wasn't aggressive, just factual. "You are making false, damaging statements about client's name. Continued public defamation will result in legal action. Remove all posts and issue a correction." Within 48 hours, her Instagram went private. Then I got a text. "Marissa, wow, you're really going to threaten me with a lawyer? After everything." Me, "You didn't leave me a choice." Marissa, "You think people will believe you? I have friends. I have proof." Me, "Then show it." She never did. But she didn't stop, either. The next week, I found out she'd shown up at my gym. Not to work out, just to talk. The front desk staff told me she'd been hanging around, asking when I came in. I changed gyms that day. Then she started messaging my coworkers. Some blocked her. Others forwarded me screenshots. "Just so you know, your name wasn't who you thought he was. He cheated on me, and I have the messages." She didn't, because they didn't exist. But the damage wasn't about facts. It was about perception. I'd spent weeks rebuilding my peace, and here she was, clawing at it from every angle. That's when I made the most rational and honestly hardest decision of all. I went completely silent. No confrontation, no explanation, no counterstory. Silence is terrifying for people who thrive on drama. They need your energy to sustain the narrative. Without it, the story collapses. And it did. By the third week, her posts shifted from anger to guilt. Some people just disappear instead of fighting for love. Maybe I overreacted, but my heart was in the right place. Then, finally, healing means forgiving yourself for believing the wrong people. She meant me. Or maybe Tessa. Or maybe herself. Didn't matter anymore. I kept living. I moved to a smaller apartment. Started running again, not because of stress, because it cleared my head. My blood pressure improved. My sleep stabilized. I even started volunteering at a community sports group for people recovering from heart issues. Funny how the thing that began as survival became my anchor. One night, months later, Tessa messaged me from a burner account. I don't expect a reply. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I never should have helped her with that. I thought I was protecting her. But she was spiraling, and I made it worse. I didn't reply, but for the first time since it all started, I actually believed one of them was telling the truth. 2 weeks after that, I got an email from Derek again. "You'll like this," he said. Attached was a PDF. Marissa had officially retracted her public posts. Quietly, no announcement. Deleted every mention, every accusation. We'd filed no lawsuit, just pressure, persistence, and documented truth. In the end, I didn't need revenge. I just needed proof. Because proof is silent, but it lasts forever. Final update point: 3 years later, I barely recognized the man I used to be, or the version of her that used to rule my every thought. I'd moved to a different city, closer to the coast. Picked up a job that let me work remotely, and started spending my weekends outdoors, hiking, cycling, anything that didn't involve overthinking someone else's emotions. People always say time heals, but that's not quite true. Time doesn't heal. It just builds distance between you and the wound, until you can look at it without flinching. And that's what those years did for me. I didn't hear from Marissa again for a long time. The last I'd known, she'd quit her job after things got awkward. Apparently, the cheating story she'd built unraveled faster than she expected once people realized she had no evidence. Mutual acquaintances stopped mentioning her entirely, and I preferred it that way. Until one morning, out of nowhere, I got a short email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line was, "Closure. Hey, I don't expect you to respond, but I wanted to tell you something. I finally started therapy last year. Turns out, I have anxiety and attachment issues I'd been ignoring for a long time. I convinced myself that if I wasn't in control, I'd be abandoned. I know that doesn't undo anything, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry. You didn't deserve what I did to you. If it helps, I deleted all the accounts that hurt you. I'm working on starting over, for real this time. I hope you're doing well. M." I sat there for a while, staring at the message. Not angry, not emotional, just still. I didn't need her apology. Not anymore. But there was something human in it, something that made me realize how deep her fear had run. She hadn't been trying to hurt me to be cruel. She'd been trying to control her fear of losing me, and in doing so, made it inevitable. I didn't reply. Some things don't need responses. They just need acknowledgement. A month later, I met someone new, Erin. We met through a local running group. She was the opposite of Marissa in almost every way: private, grounded, calm. The first time she saw me double-check my phone before setting it down, she smiled and said, "Relax. I'm not going to go through it." She said it as a joke, but it landed differently for me. Over time, I told her the story, not in full, just enough for context. She didn't pity me or turn it into some crazy ex conversation. She just said, "That must have been hard. It's good you learned when to walk away." It's strange, when someone trusts you by default, not by demand, it reprograms you. You stop living on defense. You stop waiting for tests. You just exist. Every now and then, I still get a pang of memory. Walking into the old apartment, seeing Marissa sitting there with that quiet fury, convinced that love required evidence. But I don't feel bitterness anymore. Only clarity. Because here's the truth I learned the hard way. Trust isn't something you monitor. It's something you offer. Once you start tracking it, testing it, doubting it, it's already gone. Sometimes I think about replying to that old email. Just a simple line like, "I hope you're doing okay." But then I realize she doesn't need my validation anymore. And I don't need closure. The silence between us has already said everything that needed saying. Last week, I got my annual health report. Blood pressure, normal. Cholesterol, excellent. My doctor smiled and said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." So I do. I run, I eat well, I live simply. Because it turns out, the best revenge against suspicion, paranoia, and manipulation isn't exposure or proving yourself right. It's peace.